The Formula One paddock was stunned today by the tragic news that Charlie Whiting, the long-standing Formula One race director and safety delegate, has died on the eve of the Australian Grand Prix. The 66-year-old is one of the defining figures of the past 4 decades of Formula One, and he was here at the Albert Park circuit yesterday performing his duties as normal before being lost overnight to a pulmonary embolism. I'm joined by Scott Mitchell and Giorgio Piola to talk about Charlie Whiting, his impact on Formula One and his legacy. Well, Scott, there's been an outpouring of tributes to Charlie Whiting from drivers, team personnel, fans. Everybody who has even a passing interest in Formula One knew who he was, and everyone is devastated to lose him. So what does that say about the man?
Well, I think the measure of the man's greatness basically in Formula One is the amount of respect that's been shown. Obviously in these situations you very rarely hear people be criticised, but I think in Charlie's case it would be because you would struggle to find someone. I don't think you'd find anyone in the F1 paddock who would be able to be critical of him. He was so well respected. He was such a nice, genuine person as well. I was speaking to someone earlier who described him as a rare person who hasn't been corrupted or anything like that from decades of service to F1. He leaves behind an amazing legacy, obviously, but I think everyone is. I think everyone was stunned. Everyone was in shock. It was a horrible, horrible feeling in the paddock all day long. Some of these people have known him for decades and decades, so an absolutely enormous loss.
Well, Giorgio, you're one of those people. You know Charlie Whiting going right back to his days as a mechanic with the Brabham team, and then later you dealt with him extensively in his FIA Formula One role. How important was Charlie, and what kind of man was he? What was the Charlie Whiting you knew?
Yes, as you said, I started in '69, so I saw Charlie coming with Brabham. He was a chief mechanic in the Brabham, and so I saw his career, and at that time we were really part of a family. So Charlie, as all the people in those days, is something that nearly belongs to my family, nearly belongs to the family of Formula One, and it was so nice to see all the step that he did in his career, because as for example Herbie Blash, that became also working for FIA, Charlie had a very, very difficult role because he has to manage with the most clever engineer in the world, the people that are trying to escape any kind of rule you write, and he was always managing to control them, to stop when they were doing something illegal or unsafe.
And he was one of those people, wasn't he, that himself he was very clever. He was a quiet character, softly spoken, but he had a great command of the technicalities of the issues. He really knew his stuff, didn't he?
Yes, he's a man that was respected by everybody. This is not very easy in Formula One. So he has charisma. He was very fast in reaction, because I do believe it will be very difficult to replace him, because not only from the technical aspect, because you need to be an engineer to understand the rules, to understand everything, but you need also to be very fast in reaction as being race director. It's not an easy job to control the safety car, to control the driver. So he was doing in one single person the role of at least 3 people.
Well, Scott, that's a good point, isn't it? Because Charlie Whiting's role almost defies description. It's so wide-reaching, so far-ranging. I don't think anybody except for those who dealt with him day to day would realise how he had an impact on just every aspect of Grand Prix racing.
Everything from writing the rule book to homologating the circuits, inspecting prospective circuits, race day management, doing things like everything from the safety car, managing that, to not punishing drivers, but basically I think he described himself as a policeman. He'd be the guy that'd be on the lookout, and he'd try and spot offenders and then refer them to the stewards. His influence was so far-reaching. He was responsible for so much. I think it says a lot for the sheer qualities that the man had, the capability that he had, and the respect he developed, that he was allowed to do so much. This is the sort of thing where I would think F1 and the FIA is going to struggle to replace his many positions with one person. It says a lot that even here for Melbourne this weekend, they're looking at, right, how do we react to this? How do we reorganise the structure to cope with the loss of an organisational colossus? There's no better way to describe Charlie, the impact that he had, and just how much he was responsible for. He can be replaced for Melbourne in terms of job and carrying out his responsibilities, but replacing him longer term is such a difficult challenge. I don't think he can be replaced.
And Giorgio, because of that difficulty of replacing him, it shows just how much he did. What will Charlie Whiting's legacy be to Formula One? He's left behind this vast body of work that will be felt for decades to come.
Yes, he was doing, as I said before, at least the job of three people. So for me, it will be impossible to replace only by one person. And what I want to emphasize is the family, the feeling of respect that everybody has with him. Myself, very often I was going there to ask some clarification on the rules, always respecting his role. He was always very helpful with me, with the journalists, with everybody, with the driver, talking. Everybody wanted to have an advice or a clarification on anything. He was always ready to give instruction, to give help to everybody.
Let's not forget as well that Charlie's influence, what Charlie was involved in, extends well beyond what he did on race days and way beyond just preparing the circuit in his role as safety delegate, making sure everything was up to code. He also fronted the technical side of F1 in terms of the discussions with the teams and officials. I think he was in charge of the circuit commission as well, the single-seater commission. This was his life and soul was not just F1 but just top-line motorsport, and he was so dedicated to doing the best job he could and trying to improve the sport that gave him so much and that he gave so much. So the impact's going to be felt not just on any given race weekend in F1. It's going to be felt far beyond that, and it's obviously a massive shame to lose him as a person, but F1 is losing such a fierce and talented professional as well.
And we should add, Giorgio, that his safety role means there's plenty of drivers out there who have good reason to be thankful to Charlie for the work he's done over the decades, and that, I guess, will endure, won't it? There's people walking around today who wouldn't be without the work he's done in association with others.
And I have to say that very often the driver didn't react positive when there was some improvement. I remember when he was introduced the hands protection, the side protection of the cockpit, a lot of drivers were complaining, but Charlie, his power, his charisma, was able to manage to convince the driver to use this, and now we see the safety in Formula One is nearly fantastic and nearly perfect.
Well, that says a lot about the impact that Charlie Whiting has had on Formula One. He'll be missed. There's a dark cloud over the race this weekend, but let's hope the Australian Grand Prix is a fitting tribute to a great man.